Imagine you have lost your wallet. You have lost access to any documentation that can prove your identity. You have no bank account, credit cards, no degrees to prove your education, and your medical history. The property you own, everything you once had, can no longer be linked to you. You find yourself in a strange land, far away from the people who knew you. And this strange place is your home now. And you know you must adapt and make the best out of your new situation. You're the same person, you have the same skills, the same hopes, the same dreams as before. But in this new place, you no longer have access to the people, places, resources that have made your life. And since you have no verifiable ID, recreating your identity is impossible. This nightmare is the reality for millions of people today.
The image of a lifeless child in the arms of a rescuer on a Turkish beach. One of the thousands of migrants and refugees from the war-torn Middle East and Africa who have perished in a desperate attempt to find a new life in Europe.
Currently, there are 25.4 million refugees worldwide, the highest ever seen. But on top of this, there is a staggering 68.5 million people who were forcibly displaced, from which half were children. Further, according to the UN, 1.1 billion people worldwide don't have a way to claim ownership over their physical identity, and 2.7 billion people do not have access to credit and services provided by banks due to a lack of economic identity. What has this caused? Well, an average time of 17 years that refugees spend in camps, as there's no form of proving their identity, qualifications, or any other documents that have been lost, destroyed, or never possessed, meaning the process of integration back into a society is extremely complicated and time-consuming. Before anything, the UN has made it clear that an effective identity solution needs to be flexible, reliable, and sustainable, whilst also accommodating the traditional circumstances often faced by refugees. This is particularly crucial and alarming when we consider that refugee children are being born with the risk of missing out on legal identity, the foundation for access to formal services, including healthcare and education. We, ID Chain, believe that holding a verifiable identity is a right, not a privilege. Therefore, we're aiming to solve this issue by making the lives of millions of people more prosperous and once again give them the opportunity to fulfill their dreams. We do this via blockchain, the revolutionary technology that we believe can change the world. How, you may ask? Well, let us explain. The issue governments currently face is that they're responsible for controlling and storing the identities of their citizens, although in its current form fails to recognize national boundaries, meaning that as soon as someone is forced to leave a nation, it becomes almost impossible for identities to be recovered. Blockchain enables us to create smart contracts. Smart contracts eradicate the need for a third-party intermediary or facilitator, essentially giving you full control of the agreement. This means that no one can steal or lose any of your documents. This is because they're encrypted and safely stored on a secured shared ledger that can be recognized through the use of biometrics or accessed via their own secure hash code. This allows individuals to regain their official identities without the dependence of a centralized government, in other words, giving power to the people. Like any new technology, digital IDs come with great benefits, but also great risks. Any blockchain system that holds personal data will need to comply with applicable data protection laws. The distributed nature of blockchain causes concern here. Which data protection laws will apply? Further, what mechanisms will be put in place to ensure that any cross-border transfers of data are compliant? Clearly, creating huge data repositories on a blockchain gives rise to the potential for security breaches. We have an obligation to consider the human rights consequences of digital ID systems and to responsibly design and apply these systems in ways that give both governments access and control, whilst also considering the interests and well-being of these communities. We also consider that one of the biggest challenges that blockchain present in our case is education and public acceptance. The majority of the refugees are still not conscious of the existence, the popularity, and the use of this technology. Before the general adoption and use of this technology would be possible, people should understand and be educated upon what blockchain really is and how it could serve to their benefit. So, we've now listed a clear issue that blockchain could and eventually will solve: the identity crisis among refugees. However, we've also listed some of the limitations that we could encounter along the way whilst implementing our solution. Therefore, we as blockchain operators will need to take cybersecurity particularly serious to avoid potential regulatory action and, not to be underestimated, reputational damage. This will include the creation of cyber-secure platforms and networks that comply with national and international regulations. Additionally, we will partner with organizations and charities to create educational and informative workshops throughout the camps in various regions. In conclusion, in order for this solution to effectively roll out, we would largely depend on partnerships that would include NGOs and local governments. The NGOs especially, to ensure that we can give the refugees access to our blockchain within the operational refugee camps. As for the feasibility, there's currently a refugee camp in Jordan that fully operates on blockchain in terms of payments, allowing individuals to make purchases in grocery stores located within the camp using just their eyes, no longer depending on credit cards or cash. This gives us as a team great hope and determination to ensure that we can also give these people their lives back by giving them their own digital identity to prove their credentials and give them access back into the global economy.